Suppose you can afford a certain monthly payment and you'd like to know how much you can borrow to stay within that budget. The monthly payment formula can be rearranged to answer that question. If we take the monthly payment formula we learned above and multiply both sides by this denominator, and then divide both sides by r times the quantity 1 plus r to the t power, we get a formula that's solved for the amount borrowed. The formula is as follows. Amount borrowed equals the monthly payment times the quantity 1 plus r to the t power minus 1, divided by the quantity r times 1 plus r to the t power. Remember, t is the term of the loan in months, and r equal to APR divided by 12 is the monthly interest rate as a decimal. Example 2. We can afford to make payments of $250 per month for 3 years. Our car dealer is offering us a loan at an APR of 5%. What price automobile should we be shopping for? Since we are trying to determine the amount we can borrow in order to stay within our budget, we should use the monthly payment formula that is solved for amount borrowed. Recall from this table, amount borrowed equals monthly payment times the quantity 1 plus r to the t minus 1 divided by the quantity r times 1 plus r to the t. To use this formula, we need to find r, t, and our budgeted monthly payment. Recall, t is the term of the loan in months. Since we wish to make payments for 3 years, t is equal to 3 times 12, or 36. Since our APR is equal to 5%, or 0.05 as a decimal, r is equal to 0.05 divided by 12. If you wish to use a decimal approximation, you can go ahead and divide 0.05 by 12 using your calculator. Remember, though, to be cautious with rounding because financial calculations are extremely sensitive to rounding. As a general rule of thumb, rounding to 8, 9, or 10 decimal places will give us an amount borrowed that is accurate enough for our purposes. Since our budgeted monthly payment is $250, we will substitute $250 in for monthly payment. Once we substitute our values for R, T, and monthly payment into our formula, we get the following. Amount borrowed equals 250 times the quantity 1 plus 0.05 over 12 to the 36th power minus 1 divided by the quantity 0.05 over 12 times 1 plus 0.05 over 12 to the 36th power. You may put this all in your calculator together, but be careful to use each of the parentheses you see in the formula. If you wish to do the problem in steps, you might calculate the numerator and denominator separately. If you do so, be careful to use the same rounding rule of thumb that we talked about above. I calculated the numerator to be approximately 40.36805783 and the denominator to be approximately 0.0048394676. After dividing the numerator by the denominator, I got approximately $8,341.43. Note, since this is the end of the problem, it is appropriate to round to the nearest penny. This answer means that in order to stay within budget, I should pay no more than $8,341.43 for my automobile. Before we move on, I want to remind you that you should be following along by calculating each computation yourself using the calculator you will be using for homework and exams. if you find your answers do not match mine, it might be because you are missing a parentheses. If you do not like using parentheses, you can do the computation in smaller steps if you use proper order of operations and round to around 8, 9, or 10 decimal places. For example, to calculate the numerator, you would first find 0.05 divided by 12. Next, you would add 1 to that quotient, and then take that sum to the 36th power. Next, you would subtract 1, and finally, you would multiply that difference by 250. If you are careful with rounding and order of operations, your approximation of the numerator should be fairly close to mine. The formula for monthly payment is complicated, and it's easy to make a mistake in the calculation. Is there a simple way to give an estimate for the monthly payment? We will explore this in Example 3. Example 3. The largest monthly payment we can afford is $800. Can we afford to borrow a principal of $20,000 with a term of 24 months? Now, since we do not know the monthly interest rate, let's assume the lowest possible monthly interest rate of 0%. The idea is, if we cannot afford paying off the principal with no interest, we certainly cannot afford paying off the principal plus interest. Since we are assuming that we do not need to pay any interest, we can calculate the monthly payment by dividing the principal equally among the number of payments, that is the term of the loan. In this case, we will divide $20,000 by 24 months. So if no interest were charged, the monthly payment is equal to the amount borrowed divided by the number of payments, that is 20,000 divided by 24, or approximately $833.33 per month. Notice, this is the lowest possible monthly payment for a principal of $20,000 and a term of 24 months. If the APR is not equal to 0%, the monthly payment will be greater than $833.33 per month. Because the monthly payment is greater than or equal to $833.33 per month, and we can only afford $800 per month, we cannot afford this loan. In general, the monthly payment is always at least the amount we would pay each month if no interest were charged, which is the amount borrowed for the loan divided by the term in months of the loan. This is actually a good rough estimate of the monthly payment for a short-term loan if the APR is not large. If the term of the loan is long, or the APR is large, this estimate will be a good deal lower than your actual monthly payment.